I own 4 Blackmagic cameras. They're just behind me. One is filming me. I have referred to myself as Blackmagic's premier boy. And I stand by that. Last year, I opted to film an entire international documentary across 7 different countries on a Blackmagic 6K Pro and a Blackmagic Cinema Camera 6K. We also chose to use vintage Leica prime lenses rather than something more modern, despite them being a royal pain in the ass to film with. All of this was a somewhat unconventional choice, but when looking back at this footage recently, I'm just reminded by how good the Blackmagic image is. It's banger after banger after banger. And I still maintain that if you put this image up against any other camera from Sony, Canon, or Panasonic, all the way up to the FX6 and the C80, the image of the Blackmagic with B-RAW is unbeatable. They've clocked it. And the only way you're going to get better results is if you switch to a RED camera. And even that might no longer be true with the release of the Pixis 12K, which may have even happened by the time of publishing this video. And perhaps one of the most surprising things to come out of this year's camera announcements was the introduction of autofocus to the Blackmagic Cinema Camera 6K. Blackmagic with autofocus feels like legendary Super Saiyan form, because if we don't have to sacrifice the convenience of autofocus to achieve Blackmagic's beautiful cinematic image, then suddenly their cameras become an unbeatable value proposition. However, they still do feature one major problem, which I think they need to address before they can attain their final form. That's their lack of a compressed codec and the loss of ProRes in their cameras. Now, don't get me wrong, B-RAW is great. The compression options in B-RAW are great, and Blackmagic keep talking about how great B-RAW is. But even 12:1 6K B-RAW is big, often too big for smaller projects. On my documentary, I was battling this problem every day. It wasn't the Leica lenses with their clunky manual focus. It wasn't the awkward 6K full frame body that was causing us problems. It was the amount of data we were chewing through every day, even when filming in that 6K 12:1. If we filmed with an A and B camera for an hour-long interview, that footage would amount to maybe 1 terabyte across both cameras. Then of course, we'd be filming additional B-roll throughout the day. This meant our data transfer sessions at the end of each shooting day were painfully long. And the truth is, a lot of the time, you don't need the benefits of B-RAW, especially when filming in controlled interview environments where we could control the light. B-RAW was redundant in these scenarios, but we had no choice but to use it on our A-cam and subsequently on the B-cam to match the A-cam. Blackmagic are really missing a trick by not either going back to using ProRes or developing a new H.264 codec that falls in line with many of the other mirrorless cameras. This would come in absolutely clutch in many filming environments, as the ProRes options used to. To this day, you'll still encounter clients who don't understand or want to deal with B-RAW, so you have to add another step in the pipeline to convert B-RAW footage for them. Also, shooting downsampled ProRes 422 HD on the older Blackmagic cameras was a great option when you didn't need 6K. And I feel like Blackmagic has greatly undervalued the benefit of having a proper compressed B-RAW alternative in their new cameras. The thing that's really holding back their newer lineup of cameras from being phenomenal cameras for not just doc work, but social media content or any kind of run and gun filming is having this type of compressed codec available. And if they're going to conquer the world with autofocus, they need to unlock this option to their customers, because it would be one less reason to ever consider the competition. I use the Panasonic S1 II for my latest mini doc, specifically because of the codec options it offers. Smaller budget projects just can't handle the data required when filming B-RAW. let's find an alternative to put in their new lineup that opens the doors to more filmmakers embracing their fantastic image. Now, the other thing that I think Blackmagic are in desperate need of is a firmware update for the 6K full frame. Yes, they gave us beta testing autofocus, and we're very grateful, but they haven't given us several shooting modes that have been provided to the Pixis for months now. The Pixis has more different anamorphic shooting options, which would be very useful for 6K full frame users. But the biggest thing missing from the 6K full frame is a true 16:9 mode, which the Pixis already has. Without a true 16:9 shooting option, there's no way to easily integrate the 6K full frame into multi-camera shooting setups that feature the rest of the 6K line of cameras, because you always have the black bars at the top and bottom of your frame. You can't match it to a 6K Pro or use a 6K full frame for, say, podcast setups, for example. Even when using a 6K Pro as a B cam, like we did on the dock, you have to crop in on the full frame 6K to get a matching image. This means that studios, like mine, like the one you see behind you, which would love to use full frame 6K for streaming and podcast video production, just can't. Not only are Blackmagic missing out on potential sales, but they've already got this mode on the Pixis. How hard is it to introduce it via firmware to the 6K full frame? Now, Blackmagic are normally very good with their updates, and they don't tend to withhold anything from their older models. But at this stage, it feels like maybe they're encouraging people to buy the Pixis if they want to leverage that 16:9 mode. And I hope that I'm wrong and it's coming soon in an update, because we definitely don't want Blackmagic to go Canon cripple hammer on their features. I'm excited for the upcoming Blackmagic Pixis 12K. I'm excited to see the autofocus quality mature, and I appreciate Blackmagic's constant desire to provide the best value for money cameras on the planet. We just need that compressed codec. Now, are you a Premiere Blackmagic fuckboy or fuckgirl? If so, let me know what features you'd like to see in their upcoming cameras, because maybe Grant Petty is watching this one saying to himself,
so that'd be pretty cool.
If you want to support me or what I do, you can use my affiliate links, watch my feature films, like and subscribe, do all the things. Need advice with your films? Book a one-on-one consultation with me, or try my in-depth documentary course, or do nothing. I mean, write a mean comment. They always feel good, don't they? A nice, mean, disparaging comment that undermines all my hard work. Go ahead and write one. See if it makes you feel better about yourself today. As always, I am the Savage Filmmaker, and I'll see you when I see you.